Welcome back to another video. My name is MaraK and this is episode 12 of Let's Design. I'm standing here in the lost city of Ouroboros we built last time, and today we are going to take a look at Chen's palace from the Tournament of Elements. Some of you were asking me to build the arenas as well, and don't worry, we'll take a look at that too. Let's get into it. I have to split this build into two parts because it's much more complex and much bigger than I first thought. I started with the platforms in front of the main gate. Each platform is on a different level and is connected using 4 staircases. The first platform is smaller because that's where the ship stops. When I was measuring out the platforms, I used the staircases as a reference. So that's what you are seeing me do now. I measured each platform and then calculated. When I measured all the platforms, I flipped the first half I built to the other side and raised the platforms to their correct level. After that, I moved on to the front wall. There are 3 walls that surround the palace. The 4th one is missing because on the last side or on the left side of the palace there are mountains that protect the palace, so there is no wall necessary. I won't be building the mountains today, so I focused just on the walls. When I made the outline of the walls, I made it thicker to make sure I know how much space the walls will take. I really struggled with the middle part of the wall because there are slopes on each side, making the bottom part of the wall wider than the top part. I solved it by extending the side wall and the platforms at the front. When I was done with the outline of the walls, I started working on the inside and on the palace itself. First, I marked out the main building and then I started marking out all the other builds. There is one build that sits on the side of the mountains. I didn't make an outline for that since I don't have the mountains to begin with, but once I will do the mountains, I will build the last build as well. When all the buildings were laid out, I raised their walls. I was guessing the height of each building, and you'll see that once we get to building them, because I made the outline of some buildings taller than they needed to be. Now let's start building. I went back to the platforms and staircases. At first I used brown concrete for the walls, but I changed it later for brown terracotta. For the platforms I used sandstone. It's a temporary solution because in the show the platforms are made. Then I moved on to the ramps on both sides of the staircases. Like the staircases, I built them using mud bricks, but later I changed it for dark oak planks to make them darker. The most difficult part was making the slopes of the tallest wall, but I solved it by splitting the wall into 4 different segments of the same height and making each segment a block smaller than the previous one. Every building of the palace has a platform it stands on. I used stone as a placeholder block, but I will change it once we get to the detailing part. I started with the palace building. I used Axiom mod to make the walls, and then using World Edit I copied some of the details around. At the front there are windows made using mangrove trapdoors with brown terracotta behind it to give it the same vibe as it has in the show. Then I moved on to the roof. I used cobbled and polished deep slate again. I think it has the best color and texture for these kinds of roofs. When the first roof was done, I made a grey concrete platform on which stands the second segment of the palace. And when I made the second segment, I moved on to the last one, which is the smaller version of the previous one. To finish the main building, I added spikes and banners to the top roof, flipped the building to the other side, and made the overhang at the front door. The second building I will make in this video is the restaurant. I used the same materials as I used for the main house. The roofs on all of these buildings are similar, especially on this one, because I copied and pasted the same roof from the bottom to the middle roof. Then I made the top roof, which is a bit different. The part going around is smaller, and the rest of the roof has an A shape with spikes on each side. Then I copied the half I built again and repaired the damage I've done to the main building. The damage was caused by World Edit because I couldn't mask the air blocks since I already built something and I didn't want to delete any part I've built already. Now it's time for the last building of this video, which is the living quarters. For this building I used birch planks because I noticed that in the show this building has slightly darker and more yellowish walls. Then I made a dent in the walls right under the first row of windows. I filled this dent with bamboo stairs since the dent has a golden yellow color. Speaking of windows, I had such a hard time making them look the same as they are in the show. First I used light blue concrete, but then I had the idea to use light blue glass with banners over them. When I was satisfied with the windows, I stacked them up using World Edit and copied the first half to the other side again. Then I copied the whole wall and pasted it to the back of the building where there is another set of windows. After that, I made the roof. This roof is the most complex of all the roofs I made today. There is a curve in the middle of the roof which complicated things for me. I decided to just make a diagonal curve in the corner and then I followed the curve from the middle of the roof to the corner. When I was done with the first quarter of the roof, I copied and rotated it around the whole building and started working on the top segment. I copied one wall around since all the walls of this segment are the same, and then I made a quarter of the roof again and copied it as well. After that, I made the connection between the main house and the sleeping quarters, the roof over the entrance to the sleeping quarters, and extended the platform in front of it. And we're done. Now this would be the time of the video where I tell you to enjoy the cinematic, but since I'm not done with this build yet, and since this is the part 1, I'll have to end the video here without a cinematic. If you want to see the second part of this build where I finish things off, make sure to hit the like button and tell me in the comments what do you think about how it looks so far. And that's it for this video. If you don't want to miss the second part of this build, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss this and maybe the future builds I'll do. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.